Okay. 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 I guess I'm going to cover this one too. This is by Brian Taylor Cohen, who is a live streamer. I just started following this guy like maybe a month or so ago. And he generally starts out his videos with a lot of like news coverage, and then he goes into his own commentary. And you can see I'm like more than halfway through the video. But oh my God, even. Okay. So this is titled Lauren Boebert Demolished Live on Air by Fed Up Anchor. Okay, so I'm guessing this is probably Fox News, right? Let's go.
What you want? Is it that you just can't stand the guy? Oh, no, this is absolutely nothing personal against Kevin McCarthy. We will elect anyone who will actually unite the Republican Party, but Kevin McCarthy has proven that he's not that person. When the conference...
This is entirely about committee assignments. These folks are trying to like bargain for committee assignments right now. From everything I've heard in politics, these folks are trying to bargain for committee assignments, but it's kind of hilarious that they're doing the Brianna Joy Gray bullshit of force the vote for something so fucking petty. I love it.
Voted for him. There were 36 that voted against him that said that they didn't want him as speaker. Right now we're sitting at 20, and I'm only seeing increased opposition. It's really hard to negotiate when you don't have a lever of trust to have those negotiations with. That's why my hard line from the beginning was the motion to vacate. This is something that's been around for nearly 2 centuries, and Nancy Pelosi was the first Speaker of the House to remove this. And take that authority away from every single member of Congress to have a check and a balance.
Because it doesn't functionally make any sense that you can have one person out of over 400 be able to call in question the leadership of the speaker. That it just functionally does not make sense that you can do this. I mean, this is like Star Wars bullshit. This is like fucking prequel Star Wars bullshit. I have a vote for no confidence. This is like some of the most ridiculous fucking bullshit. Like, if you will elect a leader, then you should have a process. Like, even in the Democratic Party, if they want to pull the endorsement from an incumbent, they have to have 20% of the delegates in that, whoever it is. It's got to be in their district. You gotta get 20% to vote to pull the endorsement so that it will go to a floor vote. And the fact that they want to be able to have like one person in Congress, one fucking person, be able to call for a vote of no confidence, basically. This is like fucking... And I think most of us have watched these Star Wars prequels at this point and realized how much the political discussion around it was so fucking bad. It was so bad, you guys.
On the third in line to the presidency of the United States. He's willing to give you five. Kevin McCarthy wanted to follow her precedents through and through, and then he did move it down to 5. And he knew that my position was going back to Thomas Jefferson's motion.
I'm going to have to look this up, but I feel like she keeps saying the wrong word. Am I wrong here? Isn't it supposed to be precedent, not precedents? Isn't it precedent? Am I wrong here? Isn't it precedent? Maybe I'm wrong. Maybe I'm wrong.
One single member motion to vacate. This is imperative. You cannot demand more responsibility and less accountability. We have to have somebody, if we cannot trust them, then we have to make sure that there is a check and a balance and that there are rules in place. We need the tools that are available to us to actually govern the way that we campaigned. Okay, then here's where I'm scratching my head.
Right.
If you're talking about a person that'll unite the Republican Party, I heard you this afternoon talk about consensus. Perhaps you and I have a different definition of consensus. He's got 200 votes. Yesterday you backed Jim Jordan. Today you're backing Byron Donalds as speaker. He's got 20 votes. You think that guy's getting to 218 tomorrow? I know that there are many of our colleagues who are cheering us on silently and voting for Kevin McCarthy.
I love this. She's so full of shit. And, you know, I think the only reason that she was able to get elected in her district is because she can speak articulately, despite the fact that she is spouting out, like, absolutely ignorant things. But because she sounds like she can articulate her words properly, her constituents. I love this. By the way, I'm going to get into a discussion about constituents here in a second, too, when she brings that up.
218 votes. We're going to get there. As long as it takes, we are going to get there, and we're going to make sure that this is right for the American people. We want to see change in Washington, D.C., and we want to see policies that are passed that actually help the American people. Look, Kevin McCarthy has been in leadership for 14 years. What does he have to show for that? We aren't just electing somebody who can fundraise and just rubber stamp him into office. That's not what I was elected to do. What you're seeing here is a constitutional republic at work. It may look messy, it may look chaotic, but this is us working and actually using our votes. And I believe our founding fathers intended it to be this way.
Okay, well, our founding fathers aren't here, so let's get real and let's get practical. You can say what you believe. I believe children are our future. Teach them well and let them lead the way. That's a song. You are backing a guy with 20 votes. Is he getting to 218 tomorrow? People who are silently cheering him on will not help when they round everybody up and ask for a vote tomorrow.
Oh my God, I don't even watch Fox News, but I love that this Republican ginger is going to town on her. So good, dude. All the hand gestures and everything. So good. All right, let's go.
I do believe that we are seeing growing opposition to Kevin McCarthy. They've heard the conversations that happen when our Republican conference is gathered. They are very disappointed in some of the things that have been said by our current leadership. And they're waiting for the time to be right. And I believe you will see that increased opposition. And I'm here for it. As long as it takes, we are going to get this right.
Okay, sure. And maybe it's going to be me and Kim Kardashian.
She keeps taking her glasses on and off. She's so fucking mad, dude. She's so fucking mad. I love this. This is so good.
And anyone else who can be out there.
Would you like me to nominate you tomorrow?
How long are you willing to wait? I mean, the American people voted you in. You
As
waited
some of my
for this,
colleagues
right?
have said, we could be here until the cherry blossoms bloom.
You've got the power, and every day that passes that you're not doing your jobs, voters are saying, hold on a second, I voted you in to get something done. So when you talk about names coming up and evolving, give me a timeline. How long are you willing to wait for this evolution?
Well, actually, I look at it in a very different way. I see it as Congress not spending money that they don't have, because every day that I've been in Congress, we've done it.
Oh my God. Whatever, dude. Like, seriously, like, you seriously have a budget. Not only do you have, like, all the money that you collect from taxes, but you also have MMT, which is in how we actually fund our defense budget, right? So the idea that you don't have enough money to make sure that government is running is some fucking bullshit. God. You were hired to do a job. If you're not going to do that goddamn job, fucking resign.
Exactly that. So the taxpayers are actually winning here because Congress hasn't organized. Look, my conservative colleagues and I are simply asking for commitments on what the American people want to see. Sure.
With every passing day, it's not that Congress isn't spending money. Anything that was put in place during Nancy Pelosi's term, none of that is going to stop. And until you put a speaker in place, nothing that you want to do is getting done.
Right.
Well, unfortunately, the Senate took away our authority to even work with a budget for the next 9 months. Nancy Pelosi is ruling with a dead hand anyway. They just spent one.
I'm sorry. What are you even doing here? What are you even doing here? You can't blame Nancy Pelosi for anything that happened in the Senate. Come on now. She was the Speaker of the House. Give me a goddamn break. Like, whatever was the holdup in the Senate, because it was like a 50-50 breakup, basically. It was like, we didn't even really have a lead. We had Kamala, right, as the tiebreaker, but we still didn't have 60. So it was a stalemate basically in the Senate. But that has nothing to fucking do with Nancy Pelosi. Nancy was the Speaker of the House, bitch.
$7 trillion on an omnibus bill and took away all of that authority. All of the member elects that were currently elected, all of our freshmen, they don't have a say on the spending for the next 9 months because the Senate gave that away. Republicans ran on and we won a majority on because we had a message that was.
I think, you know what I think she's referring to is that there's like a situation where like once a year, I think but there was one occasion like there's a rare occasion where it can happen like twice a year if like it gets held back. But there's like once a year where the House can submit a bill, then it goes to the Senate, and then it can go back to the House to be overridden, but it can only happen like once a year unless it gets delayed, right? I forget what this is called. I have political people within my network who actually know what this is called. But it's basically like a situation, it can only happen generally once a year. And so she's trying to make that into a thing of, we have no control anymore. What are you talking about? Like, literally, you're dealing with, like, regular government. That is a very rare situation, right? Where you have a reconciliation bill. That's what it's fucking called. It's a reconciliation. That's what it's called. And it can only happen, like, once a year. And the only reason that they got 2 of them in 1 year is because, like, the year before they delayed it so far out that they were able to have 2 in the next year. But it's like a once a year sort of thing. And that's, I think, what she's alluding to here. And I mean, come on, Lauren. You are so such trash, dude.
Uniting America and bringing us back to this place where we can actually have real leadership and pass agendas that secure our southern border and balance a budget and
the American voter does want Congress to work together. Right? Look at your last election. You represent a red district that Donald Trump handily won, and you won narrowly. And the takeaway for the entire midterms is that the country said, we are done with hyper-partisanship. We want Congress to get to work and to work together.
And on top of it, like if they had done like some recounts, it might have even been tighter than that. But that's like 500 votes. Come on, Lauren. Oh my God, you do not have a mandate. You do not have a mandate. Oh my God.
Today, Mitch McConnell, President Biden, Mike DeWine, them working together, talking infrastructure in Kentucky. And what you're doing today is blocking your own party. Is that what your voters asked you to do?
So what I hear back at home all the time from my constituents is they're furious about what the Democrats have been doing all of this time.
Okay, so this is where I want to get into the discussion about like constituents. So one of the contacts within my friends list is Sally Albright, who is a centrist, third way sort of consultant, right? And somehow I met her through contacts a few years back. She had a discussion on her Facebook wall about what are constituents and the belief system behind who are your constituents is that they're not everybody in your district. It's not everybody in your district. It's the people who got you elected, right? Those are your true constituents. That was the discussion behind this. It was really interesting. I love like learning things, even from people who I don't totally agree with on politics. I love learning political strategy from people who actually have the fucking knowledge, right? And her argument was that constituents are the people who actually got you elected. So that's going to be your donors. It's going to be the people who voted for you. In some cases, it's not even them, because like in the case of my district, before we got redistricted, the 48th, I did vote for Harley Ruda twice, and he still did not actually value me as a constituent, because there were times I tried to contact his office, and any progressive within his district who actually voted for him, he didn't really have the time of day for us. He really did not have the time of day for us. So you have to understand, what does she consider to be her constituents? Is it the people who donated to her campaign? Is it the people who voted for her? Is it everybody in her district? Probably not. It's probably not even all the people who actually voted for her, to be real. It's probably the donors, right?
Serious about the border crisis, the energy crisis, the historic inflation, and so much more. And we will handle these issues and conduct serious oversight real soon when we get the speaker's position right. It's been 2 days. It's not the end of the world. We are going to come together. We tried to do this privately. Unfortunately, Kevin McCarthy wanted to take.
Oh, this is hilarious. What you guys are forcing is a historic battle over the speakership that has not happened in 100 years, and you're showing us exactly how dysfunctional the GOP is right now, right before we're leading up to a presidential campaign. This is fucking fantastic. I love it.
Take this battle to the floor, and that's where we're at right now. But we're standing strong, and Kevin McCarthy does not have 218.
Okay.
Covered California is a free service to help get Californians high-quality health.
Strong, and Kevin McCarthy does not have 218.
One thing that I always find incredible is how easily Republicans crumble when faced with any dissenting opinion on air, considering they've made a career out of softball interviews from Fox News hosts. Now, just one note here as far as Lauren Boebert is concerned. We'll sit here and listen to Stephanie Ruhle make excellent points that any coherent, logical person would agree make sense. And you wonder why Lauren...
But on top of it, you know what's really weird about this too? Is that Marjorie Taylor Greene has fallen in line, right? She's fallen in line with Kevin McCarthy because she got promised the committee appointments that she wants. And that's what they're all fucking fighting over right now. It's like, this is the pettiest bullshit ever. Is that we've got 20 Tea Party people out there who are not getting promised the committee appointments that they want, because they really don't have any disagreements over policy positions with Kevin McCarthy. This is fucking hilarious, though, that it also demonstrates that he is not. They're right in this sense that he actually is not strong enough as a Speaker of the House, because he can't whip the vote, and that's the biggest fucking skill you have to have as Speaker. So good.
Lauren Boebert doesn't get it, but she does. The point is that she doesn't care. Her political incentive here is the dysfunction. She's not looking to fix anything because the goal is breaking it. These Republicans have been running for years on the idea that government isn't the solution, it's the problem.
Wait a minute, let's be real. They're not even Republicans. They're not. These are libertarians. These are Tea Party libertarians. They're not even fucking Republicans. They are just running under that term. It's kind of like when we have Republicans who are like, oh my God, the Republican Party just got like so racist and crazy and shit. So we're going to sign up as Democrats now and like run as Democrats. And then we end up having these fucking crazy ass centrists trying to dictate what our policy, like our values and policy are. Like, it's the same kind of bullshit. So you've got this entire network of people who are actually libertarians invading the Republican Party and trying to radicalize it, while the more centrist Republicans are trying to jump ship and go over to the Democratic Party. So now we've got to deal with that bullshit, because now we have to deal with them and their crap of, oh no, I don't think that abortion is right. I can't give you women's reproductive health care rights. Like, we have the same bullshit and problems happening on the Democratic side of the house, but in a different way, right? And these motherfuckers, they're not actually Republicans, right? Because, like, the Republican Party is a fall in line party. And these motherfuckers are libertarians. And they have Republican entered, if you will.
And in order to prove that it's the problem, they have a vested interest in breaking it. And so that's exactly what they themselves will do. And then they'll point to the thing that they just broke as evidence that the government can't work. But it's not without reason. If government isn't working, it's because someone is breaking it. And that's what we have evidence of right here. Consider the contrast. For the last 2 years, we've had people in power who believed in the usefulness of government to positively impact people's lives. And so even with a razor-thin majority, we got record funding to combat climate change, allowed the government to negotiate lower drug prices, lower out-of-pocket costs for seniors and those who use insulin, and upgrade our nation's infrastructure, free COVID tests and vaccines in the American Rescue Plan.
Yeah, but she fucking straight up said it. Like, all these government shutdowns we've had year after year after year, she fucking said it. She said, we're saving you money because we're not doing our jobs, and so therefore you don't have to pay us. But I don't think that's entirely true, right? Like, I think we actually do still have to pay them, despite the fact that they're not doing their jobs. I think she's not accurate in that assertion. But that is, like, her argument, is that, well, if we do nothing, then you don't have to pay us. Well, okay, so can we back out the days that you didn't work out of your paycheck? Can we do that?
The first gun safety bill in 30 years, healthcare for veterans with the PACT Act, manufacturing jobs thanks to the CHIPS Act and the Inflation Reduction Act. These are all things that benefit everyone. Doesn't matter if you vote Democrat or Republican, live in a red state or blue state, lower healthcare costs help all of us. Rural broadband helps all of us. Fixed roads and bridges helps all of us. Capped costs for seniors, fewer gun deaths. No matter how much Republicans try to paint this legislation as partisan, it's not. It's what you get when you make government work for you. The reason that Republicans oppose it is because if you start to see that government can help you, can make your life easier and more affordable, then their entire edict of no government falls apart. So contrast all of those accomplishments with what we have now, which is pure, unadulterated dysfunction, and you start to recognize that the only government waste happening right now is that we have to pay these people's salaries who are so incompetent, they're now on to day 4 just to choose a speaker.
See, he confirmed my belief, which is goes in contrast to what Lauren Boebert just said, which is we do still have to pay them, despite the fact that they're not actually doing any work, right? They're just being disruptive. And this is also the problem with a lot of the progressives in air quotes, who are probably more GOP aligned than they are Democratic aligned, that show up to our local parties, our county parties, and our state party, to disrupt in their ways as well. There's a whole movement out there of horseshoe theory people who are just disrupting politics and making it near impossible for not only parties, but also government to actually get anything done. And this is also why we have like so many people shipped in from other states and areas that are coming to our county supervisor meetings, to our city council meetings, and everything else to cause chaos. Like, don't you people have jobs? Like, why are you wasting all this time being so hateful and so disruptive? I'm not a big fan of Kevin McCarthy. I kind of feel for him a little bit right now though, but like not much because I'm actually enjoying this quite a bit. And I think it's going to be hilarious if we actually end up with Hakeem Jeffries. I'm trying to stretch out my legs. I think it's going to be hilarious if we end up. I think it'll be great if we end up with Hakeem Jeffries. But realistically, when you look at what Lauren is doing, Lauren Boebert, and you look at what Brianna Joy Gray is doing, this is the same fucking bullshit. When you look at the Convo Couch, when you look at Jimmy Dore, this is all the same fucking bullshit. It's all just, we're going to disrupt everything so nothing can get fucking done. But apparently, according to Brian Taylor Cohen, they are still getting paid. So it's not like we're saving taxpayer money, like Lauren fucking said. You're still getting a goddamn paycheck for being a lazy ass bitch. I love that the ginger came after her. That was so good.
Imagine a job where your very first function proves to be so difficult, so impossible, that it takes you 4 days to finish. Imagine going into work on Monday and then being told to create a username, for example, and then it's Thursday and you still haven't managed to do it. You think you'll be able to keep that job? Should you be able to keep that job? Of course not. So why do we accept it from these Republicans? The fact is that we should demand more of our government than the dumpster fire that we're seeing right now. I've said this before and I'll say it again. The silver lining of having a Republican majority in the House is that it puts on full display the extent to which Republicans are incapable of governing. And so ahead of the 2024 election, when Democrats will defend the Senate and will defend the White House, I hope Americans are taking a look at this and recognizing that this is what we risk by flipping those institutions to the Republican Party as well. They love to market themselves as these responsible stewards of government, but just like they market themselves as being pro-family values, pro-states' rights, pro-fiscal conservatism, pro-police, pro-military, only to undermine all of those things in practice, they display nothing but chaos when they actually are given power. We saw it for 4 years under Donald Trump, followed by 2 years of the most effective legislating in modern U.S. history with the Democrats, followed instantly by abject mayhem the very second that Republicans took control of the House. This isn't a bug, it's a feature. And the only way to fix it is to recognize the problem once and for all and ensure that Republicans do not gain control of any more of our government moving forward.
Well, okay, so it's more than, okay, I'm going to pause you there because that's the end anyway. You're just going to give me the, whole, subscribe to this channel, right? Which y'all should. He puts out some pretty good videos. The thing is that I think they're throwing it. I think that because they know they're about to go into a presidential cycle. Trump has already announced. We're probably going to hear an announcement from DeSantis and from Pence. And I think there's one other dude out there who wants to run. They're all white dudes, right? They're all everybody's white who fucking runs for president for the most part. That actually has a real chance, which is stupid. But, okay. So, basically, I think that because Trump has made this such a shit show, I think that the GOP has gone batshit crazy, and they realize that they're going to have to rebuild. And so I think they're throwing some things away, but at the same time, they're creating such a bad reputation for themselves that they may actually be destroyed as a party. It's entirely possible that they may actually have to form a new party and rebrand entirely because they've become so extreme and so ridiculous that they've lost the majority. And the only reason that they were able to get like a slight majority in the House was because it was an off season. It was a midterm. And in the midterms, generally power transitions. So it transitioned slightly, but not enough to actually like validate their claims of having like the better messaging, the right messaging for America. It only transitioned slightly, which means that had we had the turnout of an actual presidential election term, which is much larger, they would have lost. They would have lost. And so that's one of the reasons they should be somewhat careful right now. They should be trying to get their speaker in right away, trying to have some good messaging behind it. But also, I think that if they look back at history, people are not buying the kind of investigations they were doing anymore. Like, I don't think the Hunter Biden thing is going to go anywhere, because it's not the same thing as like all of us who were like, oh, Benghazi, oh, 3 people got killed, what happened, right? So they were able to create this like narrative around this one incident and turn it into like 2 years of FBI commentary. I don't think they're going to be able to do that with a private citizen, because Hunter Biden is a private citizen. And just because Joe is his dad doesn't mean that they can prove that Joe had anything to do with his business dealings. And the fact that they're using revenge porn against him makes it even worse. It looks really fucking ugly for the Republicans. And the Twitter files drops have been a complete fucking bust. So, wow. All right. Okay, so here we go. Lauren looks like a fucking clown. And I love that ginger came after her.